junk bond status.
Okay, our next topic is going to be growing up downtown style. Heritage is something that can be is something that is passed down from generation to generation. So cherish childhood memories, remembering time long ago. We all have those memories. Even walking down memory lane with your grandparents, or just your fellow student through your class. Talk about what they went through. Okay, today you're going to hear from what I classify as two remarkable women who grew up in downtown center. One from West Austin Street. Yes. They're so sweet. I love them both. Okay. One is from West Austin Street, and one grew up on East Austin Street. So they're lifelong friends. They've taught and counseled many students in their combined 59 years as educators. So this is Lucretia Bussey. She's a retired teacher who's taught at Timpson, Center, and Gary, and for 23 years. And Pat Brittain, who's retired as a counselor and teacher, and she taught Center and Pine Tree and other places you can share for 36 years. So please give a warm welcome to Miss Lucretia Bussey and Pat Brittain for your history lesson in growing up downtown style.
I am from the East Austin area. That's down towards the railroad tracks, and that's where we spent most of our time growing up. I grew up on Austin Street, on the corner of Austin Street and Pine Street. Pine Street at the time was not paved. We played a lot in Pine Street. My house was one of four that the same carpenter, we didn't call them contractors back then, had built. There were 5 of us, parents, 3 children. I guess we were children. I don't know, my mother had other thoughts from time to time. But however, we had everything was built this way, all these houses. Living room, dining room, kitchen. Bedroom, bath, bedroom. Now you do understand this is one bathroom for 5 people. That's where we learned patience and suffering without complaining. This house at the time my dad bought it in 1927 cost $1,000. That was it. It was a house and 2 large lots. The taxes were $30 per year. And across the street from my house was a pasture that almost went to Shelbyville Street. And across Austin Street dead ends into Pine Street. Right there was Bridges pasture, where many, many young people grew up, played, had the best time. We climbed trees, we built playhouses with straw and rocks. That wasn't that interesting to me. I still domesticate as kids, not my long suit. But anyhow, I did climb trees, wanted to sing like Kate Smith, God Bless America, could see myself becoming a famous either ballerina, now this is in center, ballerina or singer. At the time, no demand, of course, when I graduated from high school for ballerinas or for my singing. Consequently, I became a school teacher because that's what everybody did. All the females, that is. We had one profession, basically, and that was becoming a school teacher. Anyhow, Bridges pasture, covered with trees. We could play all day, and we did. We played from sunup till sunset. Our parents were not at all concerned for our welfare. We were safe as we could be. There was one very large African-American man who liked to drink. He drank Tichenor's antiseptic and vanilla extract or anything. His name was Charlie. We loved him. They let him out of jail. He was about 6'2" and weighed about probably 200 pounds. He would come weeping through Bridges pasture, and we would say, "Hey, Charlie," and he would say, hello, little children, and just keep going. We were no more afraid of him or anybody else, and we had lots of characters around. Believe you me, that would frighten children. Today, they'd have to see their psychiatrist. But it was totally entertaining to us. Of course, we were also the ones who rode in the back seat of the car. My mother was a lady. She was a school teacher when my dad met her. He was traveling with Stamps Quartet, which was way back then a famous quartet. And he met her in Oklahoma, and they married and came to Setter. And she was a lady, and she tried to rear ladies and a gentleman. There are 2 girls. I'm one of them. And the other one is Portia Gaines, who is famous. I'm Portia Gaines' sister. When I came back, everybody talks to her, and I stand there, and if they ask me a question, she answers for me. And they don't even look at me so that I can answer. They say, Portia, what is Patricia doing? But that's the way it always was. She was the oldest girl. She was the one that had the bedroom suit. We had 2 bedrooms. And the dresser I was not to touch. But really, I was the type child who didn't want to touch it anymore. I did steal her Chanel number 5. And she would sniff me to sleep. That was when I was older, not when I was young. Anyhow, Bridges Pasture was a wonderful place. And my mother would warn us not to play in we called it a stream, lovely stream going down parallel with Pine Street. My mother called it the old sewer. Many of my switchings were a result of my playing in the old sewer, and I knew I was going to get switched. And I knew that my sister was going to tell them. So I did get switched, but I never caught a disease. We were healthy. We stepped on a nail, we soaked our feet in coal, or our foot. If we cut our feet, and we did that often because we went barefoot all summer, we'd step on broken bottles occasionally and would cut them pretty bad. And iodine or mercurochrome. If we had a cold, Vicks salve, a Sally rag, they put a Vicks on your chest, warm up a rag and put it across your chest. And it really worked, I think. Now my daddy liked to keep a little whiskey around. It wasn't just for the children. He would give us a toddy every now and then, and I remember what fun that was. He would put a little sugar in a tablespoon and a toddy, and that would help with the cough. So that's how we grew up. My mother, as I said, was a lady. And she did try to teach us to be ladies and a gentleman. She had Compton's Encyclopedia from the time that I can remember. Little, probably 3 years old we had them. And she also had children's magazines for us to look through. And we actually looked through them because we didn't have TV or Blackberries or any of those. So we actually looked through the Compton's Encyclopedia and could really read a little before we started to school. I guess that was sort of a homeschooling kindergarten. But these 2 lots behind my house, my dad had fenced off. Now this is 2 blocks from town. Had a horse, a cow, a couple of hogs, chickens, and a pig in that fenced area. And they would kill the hogs in the backyard in the fall. Butcher them, prepare the meat. My mother made soap, lye soap, from the fat of the hog. Never understood why, except I think her mother did that before she did, and then her mother before she did. Because We had a small grocery store, my dad did, and he had ivory soap and also had meat. I often wondered when Mother was making the lye soap, but it was a big to-do, and she loved it, so that was good. As I said, Pine Street was not paved. We'd play in the middle of the street until we wanted to. Part of it was sand or some sort of mixture of sand and dirt, and a lot of it was gravel. We'd sit in the middle of Pine Street and build frog houses. You know what a frog house is? Of course not. You sit down and you pile up dirt over your foot, 1 foot. You pat it until it's pretty sturdy. Then you ease your foot out. And the frogs can live inside there if you get your foot out without destroying your construction. Well, we would sit and make frog houses until we could hear Biggie McKee's old car coming. Well, he ran over the frog houses. To no avail. We just went right back to what we were doing. We weren't easily discouraged. As I said, we would go driving with my mother and dad, and the 3 of us would be in the back seat. Now, I'm not saying we're okay. I'm not saying there was not something very wrong with the 3 of us. However, we would be laughing and saying silly things, and my mother would say, "Oh, I wish I didn't have good sense. I'd be happy too." I thought that was the funniest thing we did. We thought my mother was funny. I didn't need a psychiatrist. We thought she needed to grow up and learn how things work in the world. Didn't bother us though, bless her heart. She went to bed many a time with a damp cloth on her head, and I know why. But my childhood was like a fairy tale. There was so much freedom for children to do what children do, play and grow. We walked on stilts. You know what stilts are? Oh, these were homemade. Played cops and robbers, cowboys and Indians. And dogs. Dogs were everywhere. Everybody knew whose dog each dog was. And the dogs went wherever they wanted, but they came back home. There were no thoroughbred dogs. And sometimes they didn't come back home. You know, they might have an accident, or I guess someone just got old. But we always had dogs. We had one veterinarian, I think he learned it in a magazine or something. My dad would take our dogs and have them work once in the summer. They would come home looking like they had been in the Nazi concentration camp. They would have lost 5 pounds. They were mangy and matted, and we had to clean them up. And we hated to see them have to go to Dr. Black's, but he was convinced that it would. Shelby County was a farming community, and on Saturdays, people would come into town to buy provisions. I've seen people, my dad had a small grocery store. East Center was a wonderful place to grow up. Hagler's Supermarket. Just past that, on the left, was the Coca-Cola plant. You could watch the conveyor belt as the Coke bottles went through and the Coke went into the bottles. Standing with a large glass pane. Some of you remember some of this? Wow. Anyhow, there was Booty's Cafe, Booty Ross. I loved Uncle Booty. He never, ever asked me to leave. When the truck drivers were sitting in there playing Detour, There's a Muddy Road Ahead, I'd sit right up there. That's where I learned to eat pan sausage, ketchup, and light bread. Most wonderful thing to put in my mouth. I still love it because that's what the truck drivers ate. Then there was a beauty shop, a radio repair shop, a small grocery, wholesale. There were 2 wholesale houses in East Center. Ross's Wholesale, and these were large wholesale businesses. You could go into either one of them, and my dad did buy groceries from them sometimes. And there was the odor of gum, double mint, a mint flavor, and the stuff they put on the floors to keep the dust from blowing when you swept, and cigarettes, because they sold cigarettes. But we loved that odor. Then, of course, there was the gin, and there were other stores up the drugstore, Mr. Lunky Rogers. We would go over, get ice cream at the drugstore, sit in front of his magazine shelves, look at every magazine he had. He never once said, "Leave, go away." It was just wonderful. We just thought everybody loved us. They said to occasionally they'd correct us, and I'm sure his magazines were sticky, but he never said anything. There was a filling station, we called them filling, because mostly they just filled with gas, right next to the drugstore. And Mr. Norman Ross would leave a note on his door and say, "I'm gone for a while, put the gas in, put the money on the table inside." And they did, and he did. But it was a wonderful time to grow up, and at that time, Lucretia knows some good stories about this concentration camp. These young German prisoners, Nazis. They were not Nazis. In fact, they were fresh-faced young men. They worked at the railroad track, and that was our hangout. We went to the tomato shed where they were getting tomatoes packed to send them off on the train. We played in the freight trains. Do you know what a miracle it is that I don't live in California? You know, however, I did. I got in those boxcars many a time. But we did that. But we would go down to the railroad station, and those German prisoners, nice-looking, well-behaved young men, would ride us around on a dolly. They drew pictures. One was very artistic. He drew pictures for it. But we had a train agent who was far too nosy. He called my mother. And of course she came and got us and forbade us ever to go back again. And I never did like Mr. Naylor. I tried to forgive him, but it was not easy, so I guess I have by now. I'm too old to have a vivid recall of what he was like, so. We went to church every Sunday, come Sunday or high water. You just did it, that's what you did. And we walked. We walked to high school from Austin Pine Street to where the junior high is right now. That's where the high school was. And we walked there, had the best time. One person, his father owned the Ford place here, Parker, Jack Parker, had a Lincoln Zephyr. It was a four-door, and he would stop occasionally and pick us up, but other than that, and this is my first year in high school, we did lots of walking. In high school, wonderful time. Girls were very shy in that my mother had told me if I kissed a boy, he would not respect me. Well, freshman, sophomore year, I didn't kiss a boy, but it wasn't because we just didn't date that much. We had lots of boys around, and we had slumber parties with boys. The parents were there, but we never touched one another, not in that way. I think we knew each other so well, it was sort of revolting, like touching each other. But we did have a wonderful time, and the slumber parties were wonderful. I've never had my ears pierced. I know it's a disgrace. My whole family is ashamed of me. That's why I wear this hair, long enough to cover this where the holes should be. And sometimes I pinch them real hard to make them look like there are holes there. However, I've never had my ears pierced, and I've never plucked my eyebrows, ever. Now, it's getting a little hard to see as I grow older. They're going to come from here to here. So I'm going to have something done. A depilatory, you think. And if I do it, I'm going to miss the eye, and I'm going to be partially bald. I've tried those depilatories before. At any rate, we had a wonderful time growing up. The difference in Lucretia's group, that's 8 or 9 years younger than I. Oh, the difference in the world. They were much more sophisticated than we were. We had wonderful times. We'd come to the square on football Fridays, march around, the band would march around the square. Oh, incidentally, are you going to believe that's what I twirl? Then you'll also believe that's what's wrong with my teeth. You're supposed to smile and toss this up and catch it. You really were, and I'm not lying. Now, it also, if you will notice, of course, I think I've shrunk. They say that's another beautiful part of growing old, but I can just barely get, and I hit this here a lot, when I was twirling. But that is a twirling baton. This is what all the girls my, now you had a small one, didn't you? Yeah, you didn't have this so big one. But you learned to do those things. I taught myself to twirl. I got a book and got out in the front yard. Taught myself to twirl because I really wanted to do that. They accused me of going out onto the 50-yard line before I blew the whistle for the band to come on. This is not true. Well, I talked about the center and the railroad station, and school at the Little Rock Inn, the elementary school. Wonderful, wonderful time. A lot of youngsters took music. I took music from 3 different teachers. 2 of them fired me. The third one, though, was Mrs. Searcy. Now, you know Jeanette Bittman?
Oh, yeah.
Mrs. Searcy is her mother. I did my recital piece in her grand piano and played it by ear in the key of C instead of that one that had all those sharps in it. And she recognized it. They said, and this is not fibbing, they said she was calling my name in the nursing home. Now this is, no, I'm serious. A nurse I don't even know that said she knew me. She said, "Are you Patricia Brittain? Miss Searcy has called your name all morning," and said, we didn't know who Patricia was. But she finally screamed out, "Patricia Payne, if you don't come and sit down, I'm going to tell the principal." I said, "I'm glad did she give you my social security number or whatever it is." But the Little Rock Inn had hamburgers for a nickel. How about that? They had suck balls. I had a cousin. We'd follow her over there to hear her play football. He would have took the role in a football. You see, our little mind had to think up things, you know. So we learned to have fun with just the simplest of pleasures. Calling my little cousin Bobby over there. High school, the girls, as I said, we did not curse. My parents did not. They didn't say naughty words. We had heard some. And I know a man that some of you would know that I'm not going to call his name. He did an ugly sign to me when I was in the 8th grade, and I went home and cried. I did not tell anybody. I do not. My mother did not speak of sensual things, except to say, "Oh, let him kiss you." But I didn't know what that meant, but I knew I had been insulted terribly bad. The girls wore conservative clothing. Now, we did have play suits. That was a one-piece short set with a skirt. And you put the skirt on over the short set, and the shorts came down to here. But you could button it up as low as you dared or as high as you dared, you know, and kind of the wind might blow it askance so that you were risque. Risque never entered our minds. You know, I said we don't look back at our pictures in high school, and I know why. Now, there were a few she dated in high school. You dated in high school. See, this was years later, after people learned to fix up. I got out of bed. I'm not exaggerating. I got out of bed, brushed my hair, didn't brush it, combed my hair, put on lipstick, and away she went. Well, I dressed, of course. As far as I cannot yet put mascara on. I've never had any mascara on. I don't know what it's for. So I am sort of, I guess, strange. I think my whole family is. We say we are. We have some funny genes. That's G-E-N-E-S. Well, we look kind of funny in another kind of. The Bull Durham Club on the high school campus. We had a smokers club right across from the high school, the side of the high school. I mean, it was almost on the campus. Mr. Childs ran it. And the boys who smoked went over there to smoke. And we didn't think anything about that. And we had all sorts of, we'd sit on the square. Now, the girls did sit on the square hoping out-of-town boys would drive by. And they did. They came from San Agustin, Tanahawk, Tipson. They'd go around the square and see us, a car full of girls. They'd come park by us. But we had been taught not to speak to strange boys. And we were excited to death if they had done this. But as far as saying anything, wasn't that, but usually there was a male in the car that would say something, and that would sort of break the ice. But as far as the girls speaking first, no way. It was a time when there were few social services. There was one man who had a bladder or some sort of terrible condition who wore a long black skirt. Wore it all the time. He drove a car that had no doors. That's something else you'd see a lot. Cars with no doors, and you'd also see cars with no tires. You could hear them coming on the pavement. But that's how poor some people were. It was a hard time for some people. And this man wore this skirt, had a terrible odor, went about life just as though everything were just fine. One man had no legs. He had a homemade skateboard that he was on. He had some blocks of wood covered with leather that had handles attached from the leather. And and he would push himself along down the sidewalk, and I remember he sold pencils, just as pleasant and nice as he could be. But he was doing that all for himself and by himself. And also, there were people who had been severely burned who had not been able to have any help. They went about life as best they could be. They just learned to cope. So it was a wonderful time for children and dogs. But it was not so good for some people. Oh, one other thing. Takes a village. My mother and everybody else's mother would get telephone calls reporting on the children, as I told you, the train agent calling to tell her I was playing with the German prisoners. She also got a call one day from Mrs. Gunnels, who owned a ready-to-wear. She said, Mrs. Payne, you need to come get Patricia. What's the matter? Well, you just need to come get her. I had gone to my daddy's store looking at he let us look into everything. I tasted vanilla extract. Big dis. Big. Oh, it smells so good. But I had found these wonderful knee pads for skating, because we skated on dirt, gravel. There wasn't anything we couldn't cover with our skates. This box had KOTEX on the outside of it. I was skating around the center square as hard as you can. And my mother went to bed. As I said, it was a wonderful time to grow up. And Buster's sister was in on some of that. They were on Common Street, and occasionally that group would get together, but my group was from Austin Street, down Pine Street, and up in the other direction, most of them, and then some up Austin Street. In 1947, a new Ford Auto cost $1,230. A loaf of bread was 13 cents. A gallon of milk was 78 cents. This is 1947. A pound of butter was 81. A new home was $6,650. And a gallon of gas was 15 cents. Okay. Eat your heart out. But it was a wonderful time to grow up. Do any of you have any questions?
Where were those pads taped?
Oh no, they had they were ready for They had ties on them. They were perfect. Y'all are a sweet group. Yeah, I need that right off.
And that's good, because we need all the food we can get. You can't leave. Because I'm gonna spend most of that time making fun of you. No. I'm gonna brag on Charlie Brittain. We have a lot of things in common. The fact that we both have older sisters. That we were way behind them in intelligence and manners and all those important things. My sister's still like that. And Portia has mellowed a little, I think.
She
But
has.
anyway, my sister is still like that. But this is one of the things about, and Pat and I both have these bad sisters, and we also both are married to Charlies, and that will get tedious sometimes too. Yes, but Patricia's Charlie is a poet, and I have a little poem that I'm going to read that Charlie Brittain wrote. And I have used this with my school children, and they think it's wonderful. Because, well, I'll read it to you, and y'all can decide what y'all think of it. This is Friends. I tried to be your friend the day that we first met. You failed to get it then, and you hadn't got it yet. Friendship lives or dies. It hangs upon a thread. And if the cord is broken, it likely winds up dead. Perhaps if we tried harder to make the first seeds grow, the kind of friend I could have been, I guess you'll never know. Now, that is a serious point, but little bitty kids understand it. It's reciprocal. And if you are teaching something, and that's the only thing you get across the whole year, reciprocation. That's all you need to know. You can give them an A+ for that year. Don't you like that? I did too, and they did, they understood it. Pat, as I left the house, they were telling us how bad the stock markets were. I don't know about Pat's family, but we didn't talk stock markets at our house. But anyway, there are a lot of serious times. When I was little, the German prisoners were here, and my daddy spoke some German, and he made friends with them. We had German prisoners come to our house, which probably broke every rule they had, but we had some come to our house for supper. Daddy explained to them, they thought at first when they were carried off in those big trucks that they were being carried off to be, because that's what they were doing in Germany to prisoners. And they said, no, we're just going to the woods. We're going to the woods and cut trees. You know, you'll be fine. And anyway, they were, my sister and I thought they were wonderful. And they made her a dog out of carved wood. They made me a picture frame. They have both been lost. But they made my mother a power box. And on the back of it, it has their name, the man's name in German, written on it. And I still have that. But it was a real experience. I was 5 years old when the German prisoners were here. And I remember going with Daddy sometimes to work and just feeling perfectly at home. And like Pat had said, there was not a danger zone if, we didn't know if there was one. I lived where Buster Brown, that's your name, right? Where his insurance office is, a little bit further down, where the red building is. It's a, what is it now, Buster? Exercise place, I think. But anyway, that was where our house was. So we were very, very close to town. And Pat's experience at the skating around the courthouse, I didn't have anything like that happen. But I stayed at the courthouse a lot because it was just right across the street. Now, when I saw my daddy walking toward the courthouse, I knew it was nearly dark, and I was fixing to be in trouble if I didn't boogie on home. But this was our play yard. It was wonderful. Over there, where the bandstand is, we played up there. We also did water fights and water balloons and broke them, and you know, as much mischief as we could get into. I want to tell you about my favorite Christmas. We had, up here on the square, there was a spit and whittle club that were here. That there were old men that just sat out there and spit and whittled. And they were all friends of ours. But we had a little group of girls that decided we were going to raise money. And we did. We had a rummage sale. We didn't call them garage sales. We had a rummage sale. And we made a good bit of money. And my sister helped us have a float parade. And we won. We had a big sign like this, and it was calling all girls. We had someone playing tennis and someone twirling and all these different things. And we won, and we got, I think, 25 bucks. We put our money in the farmer's bank, and we felt like winning enough money. And so, around the square that is still here, the Paint and Pains was right there, and there, of course, was Farmer's Bank still there. Right next to this was the John Rogers drugstore, and that was a hangout. And then on this side of the square was Western Auto, and Sandy Dance. It was Campbell and Dance back then. Sandy Dance's furniture store. And with that friend, we would buy tamales and go up and eat the tamales on a brand new mattress. And when you did that, you got in trouble. But it took you a while to move the mattresses so that that one would be on the very bottom, the one that you had spilled that. But anyway, another thing that we did with our big money that we had made, Ligale, those of you that don't know, this is my childhood friend, Ligale Payne Lunsford. I always forget that last name. We've both been married over 50 years and we still go by our maiden name. But anyway, Ligale had a grandmother that was the most wonderful woman in the world. And I can say that because I never had a grandmother. And so I'm not, slighting mine. Mine were both dead before I was born. But Ligale's grandmother treated all of us like we were hers. And we felt like she was our grandmother. And with this bounty of money that we had made in our rummage sale and made winning a big prize at the square, we found out about a family that had been burned out. And we went around the square and begged. It wasn't that hard though back in those days to beg. You just expected they would give whatever you asked. And we got dolls, and we got flashlights from Paint and Pain, and we spent our money, some of our big money, on groceries. And Lizzie took us out to where those people were living since their house had been burned out. And they were the most thankful, happiest experience that any of us had ever had. And it was just that once you had done something for somebody else instead of yourself, and children are naturally very, very self-centered. That's how we raise them. We make them to be as spoiled as we possibly can, and we usually do a pretty good job. But when they come back and volunteer to do something, and Lizzie taught us that. And another Payne story is when we first, Patricia and I were gone from the center. I don't know how they stayed as a city while we were gone.
I was away 30 years.
Well, I was away 27, but we came back to center because we had good sense. And when I first came back, I went to St. Pains to get some stuff that you need when you just moved in. Nails and screws and things for the curtains and all that. And so I went in, Vance got me everything I needed, and I got out my money, and he said, "Oh, don't worry about that, it's already charged." Now then you know you're home. Just don't worry about that. I'm gonna tell my life of crime. It's not very long. But we were beggars. One of the things I did was over here at this bank, which is gone now, it's across the street from Buster's, but it was State Guaranty Bond Bank. And I was begging money for some cause, and P.D. Jones was the president, and it was just my neighbor, just right across the street. And I said, "I need some money." And he said, "Well, how much do you need?" And I said, "Well, about $5. He said, "Lucretia, I believe every time I see you, you're begging for something. You're either selling candy or," but that's what kids did then. You know, we sold candy for the man and everything. He said, "You are very, very expensive to deal with." And so, but anyway, I took his money and was proud. Then another time I found a razor blade in a Coke bottle. And I took it down to the Coke plant. Pat told you how we could watch the Cokes go around. And I took it to Mr. Council. And those of you that know John Sankton, that was his grandfather. And I said, "Mr. Council, look what I found. I found a razor blade in a Coke bottle. What do you think it's worth?" He said, "Are you trying to," what would that be? What is that called? Extort, yes, thank you. I said, "That's it. It's exactly what I'm trying to do. Think what it would cost the Coca-Cola company to know that there was a razor blade in these bottles." And see, he said, "Well, how much do you want?" I mean, you can't argue with stuff that works. And these were for good reasons. I mean, we were having a band concert, or, I mean, it wasn't put in my pocket. It was, you know, what I needed. I have one dirty story to tell. Is it time for us to quit? Yes. Anyway, my daddy took me to St. Augustine. And that fella's name was, I'm fixing to tell you, Ben Ramsey was his brother, who was in Austin in the Railroad Commission or something. He had a big office. But this fella was a nice fella also, and he was a lawyer, bless his heart, in St. Augustine. And I went there with Daddy, and his name was Smith Ramsey. And as he was walking out the door, walking us to the car, my daddy looked at me and he said, "Darling, you know that this is Mr. Ramsey, but you don't know who he really is." We had a baseball team here that was jolly good. It was a semi-pro game, and we had an umpire, and we had two ladies. How many of you are Baptist? We had two ladies whose father was the Billy Graham of East Texas. His name was Brother Joe Smith. And one of those ladies did what Miguel's mother did and Vance did with the community news. She did that. Her name was Jessie Smith McCarty. That was one of the daughters. And the other one was Mammy. I don't even know anything but Mammy. But anyway, they were the $2, and their Mammy's son-in-law was the manager of this team. So, Daddy and I had box seats by Mammy and Jesse Smith McCartney. And every time that the umpire would make a call against center, they told him exactly what he was. And so when Daddy said, honey, you know that this is Mr. Ramsey, but you don't know that he is the umpire. And I said, you're Miss Jessie's blind son of a bitch. He liked it a lot, and my daddy liked it a lot. And my mother was a little bit like Pat's mother. When Daddy came home telling her, Daddy thought it was cute. Mother, I thought was going to move us. She just didn't think she could handle that. But anyway, we have had a fun time. We've had a wonderful childhood, and you know that after you've been in the Marine Corps in Hawaii, and after you've been in Austin for 3 years, and Nacogdoches for Lord knows how many, and you come back to center, this is where you want to be.
You were in the Marine Corps?
Charlie argues with me a lot about that, but if you're in there and you have iron khakis, you're in the Marine Corps.
Could I ask y'all one question? Both of you ladies mentioned a phrase that probably needs some clarification, but both of you said, bless their heart or bless your heart. Exactly what does that mean?
Bless your heart. It means, well, you're asking the good Lord to bless your hearts for either saying something nice or being receptive or not throwing things. You know.
No, that's not right.
That's all right.
No, what it means is we think you're dumb as dirt. You can't say that, so you say, yeah, sure.
Y'all are just precious. It's so nice to see young faces. One day you girls will have a beard.